More tributes on the 6th day of mourning. Dulciana Somare talks about her father's dream. And police contain clashes in Port Moresby.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayre.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Wednesday's news. Sir Michael Somare's decorated political career speaks for itself. 17 years as Prime Minister over 3 terms and 49 years in politics. In 1982, he set an unbroken record in PNG politics, a landslide victory winning 51 out of a total of 109 seats. Bradley Valenaki looks into Sir Michael's political journey.
In 1982, Sir Michael Somare did what was never done before in party politics, winning 51 seats in the national elections under a single-party banner, almost making the cut for a single party to form government without a coalition.
It was after the 1982 national elections that Pangu Party won 44 seats. And, for a party to do that, it is quite exceptional in terms of our history. So Pangu Party did that, and it almost formed a government on its own. But then what he decided to do is to, ask a smaller party to become his coalition. I think I remember that time it was the United Party.
Papua New Guinea, time he come up, time all money talk, Papua New Guinea not making something. Pangu Party is so emotional. Papua New Guinea people, he got sour, he got strong.
The political numbers accomplished while there was yet a law in place to guide political party functions.
No public service, no private sector.
Sir Michael Somare's connections with the Pangu Party are rooted well beyond independence in 1975. Sir Michael Somare was the ringleader of a group of men who formed the Pangu Party in 1967 from the Bully Beef Club. Sir Albert Marikiki, Sir Barry Holloway and Sir Peter Luce are notable founding members. They all entered the House of Assembly in 1968. It wasn't all charming for Sir Michael and his love Pangu. He soon left to lead the newly formed National Alliance heading into the 1997 national elections. By then, another generation of Somares came into picture. His son, Arthur, contested the Engoram seat under NA, succeeded and was already serving as minister for several portfolios. By 2002, NA won 19 seats from the 109-member parliament and was invited to form government under Somare's leadership. With the help of several other coalitions, Somare's government survived a full term from 2002 to 2007. Another first for the lad from Murik, a first for politics. The momentum continued into the next election, this time an increase by 8 members to help NA remain in control. In the midterm, while seeking medical help overseas, Parliament moved a vote of no confidence in Somare, which the courts ruled unconstitutional later. Somare gave his best years to the nation, ending a decorated life in politics 5 days before his 81st birthday.
We progressed through many waves and changes in the world. We survived our own bad decisions. We have united at times when the world thought it was not possible.
That announcement left the people of Isipik the cornerstone of his success throughout his political life to choose someone other than him on the ballot after 49 years. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV News.
With many great stories and tributes being told of Sir Michael, one story he will be remembered for is his strong Christian faith. Sir Michael, a Catholic faithful, was described by many who knew him as a man who dedicated his life to the work of the Church. St. Joseph's Eucharistic minister Nora Nelson is one of many who knew the Somare family and shares her story of Sir Michael.
In a notebook, Mrs. Nelson wrote down the dates of her encounters with the Somare family until the passing of the Grand Chief. Little encounters like having breakfast with Sir Michael and Lady Veronica.
Just imagine at his old age, with his wife, they took the driver, they went to Bautama. the market over there, and they bought all these fruits, watermelon, pawpaw, pineapple, banana, cucumbers, and they came back. And they prepared all these fruits, and they were waiting for us. And I said, we will make your home the last one, so this time we can have morning tea together.
Mrs. Nelson is a Eucharistic minister at the St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Port Moresby. Every Sunday morning, she visits fellow parishioners who are sick and cannot attend church to give them communion. And Sir Michael and Lady Veronica were amongst the many she would visit.
Until such time that, he couldn't gain his strength to come in the church anymore, so he requested and he asked me, Susa, can you bring Holy Communion to me and Lady Veronica at home? As we cannot walk and come to church.
But the visits to the couple were cut short after the Grand Chief was rushed to the hospital.
My heart was really troubled, and I said, nothing is impossible with God. If God wanted him to live, he will live. His life is on his hands, so I told my friends, we'll pray for him.
A few days later, on the 22nd, the family released a statement saying he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He died on the 26th.
I went back to visit Lady Veronica on Friday evening. She saw me, she was crying, and she said, this house is a big house, and I'm going to live by myself. Who's going to support me? The man who supported me is gone. And I said, don't worry, he's with God now. Don't worry, you are not by yourself. You are with Jesus. Jesus is with you.
With many great stories being told of Sir Michael, Mrs. Nelson wants Papua New Guineans to remember him as a strong believer in his Christian faith until his passing.
He's a man of God, and he believes in God. And he wants his people to live a better Christian life. And he was right behind it to encourage his people.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
Sir Michael was a true witness to family life and the commitment to marriage. These were the words shared by the president of the Catholic Professional Society, Paul Harricknen. Mr. Harricknen says his commitment to Lady Veronica and his family built the foundation of his leadership. He says all husbands, fathers, and even politicians must look up to Sir Michael as a role model.
A true witness of family life, of our commitment to our spouses, commitment to our wives, or our wives to the husbands. Once you have a good family, you have a good country, you have a good nation. And in building the family, they build a big family, Papua New Guinea family. And as young people, it's really a witness for us to treasure and value what married life is, what family life is, that it's a life of commitment, it's a life of sacrifice. And I think our leaders must also learn from the Grand Chief, not only the politics that he stood and played, but importantly the life that he lived. And the family life that he lived is an example for our leaders, for our young people, for all our married people. It's a living example.
The second night of the house cry for Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare saw Dulciana Somare Brash, representing the Somare family, giving a speech that won the hearts of many, sharing from a perspective that not many have known. As the youngest child of Sir Michael and Lady Veronica, Dulciana said she has been overwhelmed by the reaction of people all around the country and abroad upon her father's passing, where she says even the youngest of children have a story to tell about her father. Leaders from Central and Gulf provinces, some of whom share the special relationships with the Grand Chief, had their turn to pay their respects with singing performances, putting a traditional flavor to the night.
In a moving speech that touched many hearts at the house cry, Sir Michael's daughter, Dulciana, said since her father's passing last Friday, she and her family have realized the influence that the Grand Chief had on Papua New Guineans old and young. This was the first public speech by a member of the Somare family since Sir Michael's passing.
But we're very proud of the fact that thousands and thousands of Papua New Guineans have shown such great love and respect. I don't think I realised the enormity of the contribution of my father, not just to my family and not just to politics in this country, but to service and to the sincerity in service. We weren't separated as a family from the politics. He didn't smile and wave publicly. He never brought problems home to us. We saw stability, and that stability was shared in his career and in his work.
Dulciana described her father as a unifier, where he saw himself as being a true Papua New Guinean and not confined to specific groups of people.
I hope that the message that my father leaves behind is the importance of the link between our leadership and between our people, and the importance of how we care and respect each other in nationhood, and not as individuals and not as broken families or just different provinces. But the message that I will take with me to my own grave is that my father united people through decency and through a generosity of spirit that actually shows now.
Leaders from Central and Gulf provinces, some of whom had special experiences with the Grand Chief in the political arena, shared some of them.
The Grand Chief is 1 in a million. Papua New Guinea was blessed by having this great man as our Chief Minister and our Prime Minister during what would have been the most turbulent years in our life. He fought to remove the shackles of colonialism.
And he shared with me, he said, Puka, I'm going to retire from politics soon. I've led it for about 40 years now. What will become of Papua New Guinea in the next 40 years? And that's where Vision 2050 came about.
Him united them, united the Papuans to go behind him and to say, yes, we can do it ourselves as a country. We can be part of a greater Papua New Guinea than a small Papua.
Stories and tributes shared on the Grand Chief's relations with the Papuan people, acknowledging his contributions. The rest of the provinces in the Papuan region, Milne Bay, Western and Oro, have their turn to pay their respects tonight at the house cry. Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
Central Governor Robert Agorobi, in his speech last night at the House Cry, shared one of his first experiences of meeting Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare whilst being a private businessman. He shares of the founding father offering him a special hat that he wore at the time and invited him for dinner.
I was then a young engineer who had just returned from abroad and had just won the contract to look after the PNG Defence Force helicopters. There was this morning when it was around the year 2000. I was busy in the morning preparing the helicopter for the Prime Minister's trip around East Sepik. And all of a sudden, the Prime Minister himself walked up to me and asked me if he could have a word with me. So I stopped working, and then he actually took off his hat and gave me his hat because I was working out in the sun. And I refused at first because I was humbled by the Prime Minister to actually take off his hat and give it to me. And he said, no, son, I want you to have this hat, and because it's a special hat, and I want you to also have dinner with me tonight. So that night, I accepted his gift of that hat, and then I had dinner with him that night with Seb Hugo Begusha. And that was the first time I had dinner with a prime minister of a country, our country. And that was the first time I actually had a first-hand experience of politics and all the stories that him and Sir Hugo shared with me.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Welcome back. On Independence Day last year, we spoke to retired Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Key about his memories of independence in 1975. Key was then a lieutenant who led a PNG Defence Force section that walked from Wewak to Port Moresby to hand-deliver a letter of independence to the new Prime Minister, Michael Somare. Those memories were captured in this story last year.
This is one of the few photographs of Jeffrey Key as a lieutenant in 1975 during a 46-day patrol from Wewak to Port Moresby. The soldiers he commanded were from 7 provinces who had trained for 2 months for this trip. As they prepared to leave, Key was given 2 letters, one from the district commissioner and the other from the Moem barracks commander. He was given instructions to hand-deliver the letters to Chief Minister Michael Somare when he got to Port Moresby on Independence Day.
Time we play walk out, commanding officer talking to me also. You walk out on gate on Moem, inoga car, inoga boat, inoga canoe one something. You walk out here, now you walk in on Tarama barracks. So that's why I'm exactly one something.
In 1975, there were discussions around the future of the military. Seeing the experiences of other countries going through the decolonization process and the military takeovers that were happening, the government in transition was unsure if the new country should have a standing army.
Mipla saw him government awesome Papua New Guinea Defence Force and still one loyal long government na and by sana behind and by still sana behind on government on time behind on independent.
Felix Wama, you are selected to walk across Papua New Guinea.
One of the men in the team was Felix Wama, who as a private was chosen to be part of the patrol. He saw how disconnected the country was amidst the lack of understanding of the political independence that was being decided.
We are prepared that independence, anything might happen. So that's the information blocking too long. Some brief come along Canberra, come along Maribaris, come down Moembaris too. So the officers from some platoon commanders, from the COs down to platoon commanders, all primitive blossom.
The team travelled for 46 days, eventually reaching Port Moresby before Independence Day. The letters were hand-delivered, and Felix Wama was later promoted to corporal, and Jeffrey Key went on to serve in various commands of the PNG Defence Force, eventually retiring as a lieutenant colonel. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
Late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare was born on the 9th April 1936 at Rapindik in Rabaul, which is a tourism hotspot site for it hosts the hot springs and Mount Vurvur volcano near Matupit. The monument memorial was funded, constructed and donated to the people of East New Britain Province and Papua New Guinea by Rabaul Hotel through Miss Susan McGrade, so that the generations coming after can remember where the great leader, father of the nation, was born. The late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare did the unveiling of the plaque in 2009 at Rapindik, thus confirming his birthplace. Mourning the passing of Grand Chief, the people of Rabaul placed flowers at the birthplace to honor him in this mourning period. People all over West New Britain have been urged to pay respect to the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare. The West New Britain provincial government has set up a site at the Independence Oval in the heart of Kimbe town. Regional MP Sasindran Mutavel urged those passing through to visit and pay respect to one of the nation's founding fathers.
On behalf of West New Britain provincial government, we just to mark respect and also offer a place for our people in West Britain to come and pay homage and to offer some respect, offer flowers or light up a candle. So we provide an opportunity for our people, and that respect, we set up this small place for people to come and pay respect. And
as the national mourning enters its 6th day, villages in East Sepik Province are mourning the death of late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare with a heavy heart. Villagers in the Ambunti station area with mud-painted bodies and black clothes have gathered at the Ambunti soccer field to show their sorrow and join the mourning with the rest of PNG. Similar sorrow was shown by the people of Haniak, Numindogum, Nangumarom and Nungori villages of Kubalia. They made makeshift houses as house cries, painted their bodies with mud, wore black and live in the house cry to mourn and pay tribute to the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. Candidates for the Moresby Northwest by-election and their supporters today gathered at the Electoral Commission office to pay their nomination fees. Among them were former Finance Secretary Dr. Thaddeus Kambane and former Secretary for the Department of Community Development Anna Bice. Nominations for the Moresby Northwest by-elections will close tomorrow, followed by the campaign and polling expected to start on the 4th of April.
As the nation mourns the passing of its founding father, supporters and candidates arrived quietly at the Electoral Commission office in respect to the Grand Chief. They are here to pay their nominations to contest the Moresby Northwest seat. Among these candidates were Anna Bice and Dr. Thaddeus Kambane.
The privilege of being in the engine room, they delivered 2 National Alliance government, 3 surplus budgets.
For Moresby Northwest, an electorate where I grew up, an electorate where I had my education, I went to church, I mixed with the community. That was where I grew up.
These 2 candidates are no stranger to the country's public service. Dr. Kambane has served as a secretary to the Department of Finance. While in the public service, there are many issues and challenges that inspired him to contest this election. And his aim is to help develop Moresby Northwest. He will be contesting under the New Generation Party.
Northwest, we are the back page. We are back page, no development there. Infrastructure fallen right apart. No services. And that's the compelling factor that compelled me to run for Moresby Northwest.
Anna Bice has also served as a secretary to the Department of Community Development. She is more focused on women, children and youth protection and empowerment, and she is the only female candidate vying for the seat. She was endorsed by the People's Party, who also supports her aim for equal representation in Parliament.
So we've thought about it. I'm standing on strong in family, strong in community, Senisi Moresby Northwest. And so, of course, we know that there are many issues, but in 10 months, 2 of the major areas that I'd like to focus on is youth empowerment and women empowerment programs.
For the last 45 years, we have been fighting for our mothers, our sisters, our daughters to represent us in the political arena. And I think it is a challenge. We will take it to Moresby Northwest.
More candidates are expected to pay their nominations tomorrow. Nominations will close tomorrow, followed by the campaign period and polling expected to commence on the 4th of April. Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
A man was attacked and killed following an ethnic clash between 2 ethnic groups in the nation's capital yesterday afternoon. It was alleged that the man believed to be from Goilala in Central Province was slashed and killed by men believed to be from Enga Province. This resulted in a fight that lasted overnight with properties destroyed.
The fight between 2 ethnic groups at Vadavada in the nation's capital started late yesterday afternoon. It was believed that a man from Goilala in Central Province was attacked and killed by men believed to be from Enga Province, with another critically injured. The fight continued into the night with houses burnt down and properties destroyed. The conflict has been ongoing. It started over 2 months ago. With support from the community, suspects were handed over to the police. The police are now at the area to ensure peace and conduct investigations.
The Moresby South District Administrator also visited the two parties. He challenged the two parties to end the violence and work with the police and community leaders to bring peace to the community. And with the country going through a mourning period, they were also reminded not to take this fight to other parts of the city. Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3501 Australian dollars, $0.3767 New Zealand dollars, and 28.97 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee and cocoa closed lower, and copper closed higher. Palm oil and copper closed lower, crude oil is trading lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinary is trading lower. You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. A Bangladeshi asylum seeker has gone on a hunger strike in protest over his continued detention in Bomana prison. Helal Udin was previously held at the Manus Asylum Center but was deported in 2018. He returned to the country illegally and was arrested and imprisoned. He returned because he wanted to be reunited with his Papua New Guinean wife and son.
Helal Udin has been waiting for the Supreme Court to decide on an appeal he lodged on the 14th of December last year. He was told that a decision would be made by February 2021, but there has been a delay, and this means more time for him in prison. An associate who contacted MTV says Helal has now gone on a hunger strike in protest.
He is still on hunger strike. Yes, that's having quite a big effect on him. He's a lot weaker. He's not eaten for the last 3-4 days shortly. He's depressed, anxious, and.
In 2013, Helal and others seeking asylum in Australia was sent to the Manus Detention Center. In 2016, he met and married his Manus wife Alice, and they had a son, Mohammed Udin. He wasn't given a refugee status in PNG and was arrested in March 2018 and sent back to Bangladesh, separating him from his family. In 2019, Helal Udin returned to PNG illegally and was arrested and sent to Bomana prison. In April 2020, Helal's release by the National Court's decision was short-lived after the successful appeal of PNG immigration to the National Court. He then appealed to the Supreme Court on the 14th of December 2020 and is waiting for the decision to be handed down.
His case at the moment is illegal entry week, the week of the hearing. The wife traveled with the kid from Manus, and that's where again we facilitated their stay in Port Moresby. We accommodated them. We helped them with logistics, transport, picked them up at the airport, and brought them to visit Spicy at Bomana just before the hearing.
The delay in the court process has taken a severe toll on the physical and mental health of him and his wife. Helal is calling for a decision to be made and for the reunion of him and his family.
Really only wants to be with his wife and child in Papua New Guinea to support them as any father and husband would.
As the head of the family, he has a responsibility to carry out. Gertrude Gabin, National EMTV News.
For more than 30 years, the people of Akwangi in Menyamia have been struggling with bad roads in their area. The council has raised concerns over its deteriorated state, saying it's affected the community from easily accessing basic services. Bethwell Judah, a councillor in the Kome LLG, said the road has seen better days, attributing to the building this vital service to the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, saying it was built under his leadership.
Akwange is a 1-hour drive from the Minyamya station, linked by rough roads. Apart from the bush tracks used by the locals, this is the main road, and it is in a terrible state. Vehicles often get bogged. These roads have not always been bad. It's taken more than 20 years of neglect to reach this state. Kome LLG's Ward 12 councillor Eric John said PMV buses used to travel this far, but now they can't.
This time road also good and bridge more right long. Coaster bus, 15-seater bus Sakam.
The only vehicles you will see on these roads are Toyota Land Cruisers, but there aren't too many of them here. Ward 11 councillor Bethwell Judah said because of the bad roads, a lot of the produce grown in the area isn't transported to the market, and it's expensive for the farmers.
Bus fare before I'm alright, but bus fare or road condition, I'm gone up. Me plus about 100 kina. Low one way na another plan 100 kina low come back. All businessman blow me pla. Time all carry coffee go road cut off. All can still live 1 week low road.
Amidst raising concerns about the current state, Judah said the road has seen better days, attributing the building of this road to the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, saying it was built under his leadership.
Somare bosim disla. Gabman road binikam na disla rote man mag blo Somare tason. Noga one block behind lane kamanta we extend him na wanem. So road kam road blocker kam finish straight lo. House line area.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
The Moresby provincial government has passed a budget of almost 700 million kina, with 200 million from internal revenue and over 400 million kina from national grants. This is the highest since the Tutumang was established. The budget prioritizes road infrastructure, SME, agriculture and fisheries. According to the Governor Ginson Saunu, the provincial budget is developed following the Moresby Kundu Vision 2048 and its first 5-year implementation plan. The PNG Fire Service now has 5 fire trucks to boost its local firefighting efforts. The 5 refurbished trucks are equipped to carry 1,800 litres of firefighting water and are provided with a complete account of firefighting equipment, making these trucks valuable assets to the PNG Fire Service.
The Queensland Fire and Emergency Service donated 5 fire trucks to the PNG Fire Service yesterday to boost their local firefighting efforts. Alongside the trucks, the PNG Fire Service received more than 150 sets of ex-service firefighting protective clothing for use in structural and bushfire situations and 16 sets of breathing apparatus. During Australia's bushfires last year, Operation Help in Wontok saw PNG contribute a deployment of 100 PNGDF personnel to help protect Australian families and support recovery efforts. The 5 refurbished fire trucks are equipped to carry 1,800 litres of water and are provided with a complete account of firefighting equipment, making these trucks valuable assets to the PNG Fire Service. This donation was supported by the Papua New Guinea Australian Partnership through a funding grant of 55,000 Australian dollars provided to the Queensland Fire and Emergency Service to buy the breathing apparatus and cylinders. Lilian Sopera Kenea, National EMTV News.
And now we cross over live to the Sir John Guy Stadium, where the house cry for Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare is taking place. Tonight is dedicated to the groups from Milne Bay, Oro and Western Province to attend and pay their respects to the Grand Chief.
Baisama ta wena
And those are live pictures from the Sir John Guy's Stadium, where the house cry for Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare is taking place right now. Just a reminder, the program will be live streamed on our Facebook page at EMTV Online at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. tonight. Trukai Sports is next. The details after the break. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. A pioneering sportsman and weightlifter, Michael Mexico, has joined the nationwide tributes to the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. In his tribute, Mr. Mexico tells of how the late Grand Chief had bestowed the name Michael Mexico to him in 1978 after his return from an international sporting event in Mexico with a bronze medal in weightlifting, the first medal for a Papua New Guinean in weightlifting.
Michael Mexico, the name itself tells a story. It's the name of this 77-year-old who played his part on PNG's road to independence through sports. Mr. Mexico, upon hearing the news of the Grand Chief's passing, said he felt that this was the right time to come out and tell the story of how he got his name, a story that he says he has kept to himself and close family members.
From 1968, me come from America, me represent Papua New Guinea, Mexico, Papua New Guinea, before New Guinea. Tri-State of New Guinea, na me happy mind, me school Australia, Canberra, na me happy mind, na selecting me go Mexico, na me happy mind. Hain, na me come back to Sydney, na talking me go to Canberra, no kato to New Guinea. Before calling me plan New Guinea, calling Papua New Guinea. Before calling Tri-State of New Guinea. No, 1968, me come rejection airport now. Veronica and Michael Somare before no call him say. Now calling me Michael Mexico. Welcome from Mexico from 1968. So now two people calling me Sir Michael Mexico now. Me Michael Mexico. Me 77 years. Me 40 years tablo. Em calling me Papa Mama Karimila Wabek. Mi lusim nemblongo, or Papa friends from the beginning, or in the nemblongo.
Mr. Mexico conveyed his appreciation to Lady Veronica and her children for sharing the late Grand Chief with the rest of PNG in his condolence message.
Me talk sorry long, Veronica you lusim man blue. That's me blogra Papua New Guinea lusim man blue. Sir Michael Somare.
Michael Mexico started his weightlifting career in 1978 in Mexico, where he became the first Papua New Guinean to win a bronze medal in the sport. In 1979, he won a gold medal in the South Pacific Games. He continued collecting medals in Tahiti, Guam, Fiji, Western Samoa, and at his last meet at Brisbane, Australia in 1982. With his experience, Mexico has helped in the foundation of the Weightlifting Association in 1991. Mexico was awarded a British Empire Medal for his services in weightlifting in 2009. Charlene Airy, National EMTV Sports, Lay.
The Papua New Guinea Football Association, as part of their plans to restructure and bring in an improved standard of football for their member associations, has started to roll out their refereeing and technical courses to help improve coaching and officiating at the grassroots level. Coaches and referees will sit for training and later be accredited according to FIFA.
The programs which have already rolled out, we have the referee level, referee courses at the member association levels have already commenced. We are finalizing the technical calendar. We should kickstart next 2 weeks time. And these are the coach education programs for youth, coach education programs for women, coach education programs for elite level, so that we keep on building a good profile in our coaching area, and then that should prepare us for the elite level, OFC level. So we want to build it up to OFC level, FIFA level, so we can ask them to come in and run a course to give accreditation to the coaches.
You're watching National EMTV News. That is Trukai Sports, the weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Mourning Plus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Cloudy with squally showers right across the region in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerema, Alotau and Popondita. In the Mamasa region, cloudy periods with a few showers in Ley, Wewak and Vanimo, and some showers expected in Madang. In the New Guinea Islands region, fine partly cloudy weather with evening showers in Lorengau, Kavieng and Kokopo, Rabaul included, and cloudy with showers and some possible thunderstorms in Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, partly cloudy with a few showers, then morning fog right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Mourning Plus, with you always.
And now we cross live to the house cry over at Sir John Guy's Stadium once again. Tonight's been dedicated to groups from the Milne Bay, Oro and Western provinces to attend and pay their respects. As you can see on screen there, Prime Minister James Marape is in attendance tonight, along with Oro Governor Gary Jufa.
You may be seated. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome the member for Kompia Mambum, Mr. John Pundari. Proceeding with the program, we will now have the opening prayer by Lord Bishop Lindsay Ihova.
And the EMTV will be streaming that house cry at 7 p.m. right after the news on our Facebook page from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So our viewers can watch that online on our Facebook page, EMTV Online. And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday the 3rd of March 2021. Before we go, this is to advise our viewers in East Sepik Province that our transmission for Wewak is back on air and viewers can watch EMTV's free-to-air programs and live streaming online as well. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Thank you for your company and bye for now.